Probably this is the fastest Linux distro, it's PorteuX, and probably when you hear a fast Linux distro, you imagine a Linux distro that is doing a very little, but PorteuX it's seriously a full feature Linux distro. So let's try with this benchmark, the boot time, and then we will see other interesting thing about this Linux distro. If you don't know me, this is my YouTube channel, and here you can find other benchmarks and tests about Linux and Unix like distros. So let's try this. This is from the grab bootloader to the desktop. So let's see how fast it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 5 seconds, and Manjaro it's still loading. Manjaro it's like almost the double of PorteuX, and both Linux distros are running the GNOME desktop, so it's a pretty popular desktop. And also the version is quite the same. We have GNOME Shell 49 on both PorteuX and Manjaro, which is also a very popular Linux distro based on Arch Linux. So this was the first test that it can be useful or not, because normally people nowadays put the computers in standby. But this Linux distro it's very particular, so it's based on Slackware, which is a very known Linux distro, but it has much more optimizations. And another interesting thing is that you can pick the desktop that you prefer, so Cinnamon, Cosmic, GNOME, KDE, LXD, LXQT, Mate, XFC, and so on. And also, if you try to download the ISO images, they are very small compared to the same desktops in other Linux distros. You can find here all the optimizations of the last PorteuX 2.5. And as you can see here, an ISO with GNOME Live, it's 576 megs, so it's very little for a GNOME desktop, and you can try this in your system, and it's very small. Other interesting things are obviously the optimizations, and here there is a benchmark of the PorteuX with the Geekbench 6 compared to Clear Linux, which is a now defunct Linux distro funded by Intel. So it was very optimized, and PorteuX has higher scores compared to it. I'm not very much interested in this benchmark, but I tried other benchmarks, which are here, and this is speedometer benchmark, which is very popular to test the speed of the browser, CPU, RAM, and so on. And I tried this also in a virtual machine, but both virtual machines had the same hardware. Probably you will get the same results also in real hardware. And as you can see, on PorteuX I got 362 score, and in Manjaro Arch Linux I had 260. So it's a lot, and it was the same desktop environment, so GNOME in both operating system. GNOME 49, and also the version of Brave, it's the same. So Brave 1.85 based on Chromium 143, and also here Brave 185. So the system is very similar, but the optimizations that you find in PorteuX are effective. And I mean, you can do a fast Linux distro doing less with lighter desktop environment, but it isn't the case of PorteuX, because here, as you saw, it's the same GNOME, but in PorteuX it's faster than in Manjaro. Okay, so other considerations is that this PorteuX it's based on layers. So there are read-only layers. It isn't a normal Linux distro for this setup. And these layers can be added or removed at runtime. So now let's try a real PorteuX that I have here. So we will also see some particularities. So as you can see, there are 2 seconds of timeout for group, and then we start. But sometimes you have issues with resolution. So let's try again. Okay, this is the boot. Try with almost normal usage. So we don't have htop. So with get pkg -m htop, the password is store, which is default. And as you can see, it is using the repo from Slackware, but these packages are adapted to the XZM format. So let's try htop. Ah no, I forgot to activate. So activate, and this is the package that I installed. Again, the password. And now it's activated. So it's a little bit different from the other distros. Okay, so htop. Now it is using 1 gigabyte, but normally if you don't have resolution issues, it is about 750 megs at startup. And here you can see why it is different. So you have PorteuX save session. It means that you can save your state. So it's like in video games where you can save your state. If you don't save your state, you lose everything you do in your session. So save to modules, and here you can pick a folder. And obviously, if you use a normal live USB, live CD, you don't have a writable partition. But if you use another partition on your USB key or in another persistent storage, you can save your state with your changes, and you have the ability to save your changes like this, and it is like a package or a layer. So we installed htop, which is xzm, and now we are saving this state with PorteuX save session, and with the other UI you have here, you can see all the layers that are loaded in the session. So we have the base layers that are read-only, then we have the package that we installed, which is htop, and if you double click and you deactivate this, you can remove at runtime this layer. So let's try again if we have the software, and it is gone. So let's try to load a layer. So as you can see here in home desktop, I have two folders that I remove, but I want to restore a previous state that I saved, and this one, password, activated. So if you go again in the desktop folder, you can see there is a new folder, which is I'm in, and here I have an image. So you can, saving your modules, you can save your state. So you can save the configurations that you don't want to lose with a reboot. So it's like a live USB distro with the ability to load a writable layer that you decide to save it in a persistent way. And let's see here. As you can see now, I had this layer changes loaded that I can also deactivate or reboot. And these layers can also have a password, so can be password protected. And so, conclusion, I'm sorry for the issues with resolution, but sometimes you have also weird things with this Linux distro. So, consideration, it is very small, the ISO, which is incredible. It is very fast if you don't have issues with resolution, as you saw, and especially in the speedometer benchmark, it is very fast. There are many optimizations like in Clear Linux, and like in Clear Linux, as you have seen, it is a normal Linux distro, but it is also different. So the read-only layers, it's a not very popular features of Linux distros, but it can be interesting in some situations. And the latest issue that I had is that I was only able to boot this Linux distro in a BIOS computer. So if you have a UEFI computer, I was unlucky. I wasn't able to boot this Linux distro in a UEFI computer. a real computer, physical or virtual machine with UEFI. I wasn't able to boot this Linux distro. And that's it. I hope you found this test useful, and see you in another video. Bye.